Welcome back students. My name is Mansoor Bari, and in this tutorial I'll be teaching you how to display a customized crystal report in ASP.NET in Microsoft Visual Studio 2012, and we'll write our code in C# and we'll use a dataset object of ADO.NET object module. So first let me show you the steps, the step-by-step procedures to follow throughout the tutorial. First of all, we will create a dataset object, and then we'll add a blank crystal report. After adding a blank crystal report, we have to bound that crystal report to the dataset that we just created. Then we'll have to add a web form to the project, and then drag and drop a button on the form, and that button will be used to show the report. Like when a user wants to view the report, the user must click on this button, and we'll of course need a crystal report viewer control on our web form. After doing this, we'll have to add some C# code behind the button click event, and we'll go ahead. So first let's start with creating a dataset object, and let me show you how to do it. Open Microsoft Visual Studio 2012, and in this environment we'll go to file menu, click open website. We are going to create a new website, and we'll choose ASP.NET empty website here, and the path is okay. Alright, so Microsoft Visual Studio 2012 has created a project for us, and you can see that there is nothing, just a web.config file is present here. So as I told you earlier, that we'll have to create a dataset object here. So let's see how to do it. Just right click on your project, and a menu, and then sub menu, and you see that a dataset menu item is present here. If you don't find in your computer, if you don't find a dataset object here, so don't worry about that. You just go to add new item, and this dialog box will show you some contents and you will find dataset here, and I would like to change the name dataset EMP just to remember, and click add. And don't worry about that, it's saying that do you want to place the file in the application code folder of the project. Alright, yes, and you'll see that a dataset environment will be created. The name of our dataset emp.xsd. So what we are going to do, we are going to right click, add, and we'll add a table adapter. So see, there is a wizard. It's very easy. It is asking to choose your data connection and to specify the connection string required to connect to the database. So in our tutorial I am using a database named TSCS. It's our database, and it's developed in Microsoft SQL Server. So we have to create a connection first. So I'll click on new connection, and I'll have to provide a server name here. So because this is the machine, my computer, so it's a local host. I'll just type a dot here, and dot means localhost. So you can also type localhost here, and then some authentication stuffs. Use SQL Server authentication. The username is SA, and password Bismillah1, and save my password. And you see that list of databases will be displayed here, and I'll choose my TACS database. You can use any. Alright, and test the connection. Okay, fine. Alright. academy.pc.tacs. So the academy-pc is this computer name, and TACS is the database. And then click next. You see there is a connection string object has been created for us, and the name of this connection string object is TACS connection string. That's fine. Next, how should the table adapter access the database? There are three options. See, use SQL statements, or you can create a new stored procedure, or there is another option that use existing stored procedures. So I'll go for the simplest one, use SQL statement. Next, here I can do two things. Either I can use query builder option to build a query, but because the query is very simple, I'd like to write select asterisk from employee. Employee is a table in my database, so it will select all records of and all columns of employee table. Next, make sure fill a data table checkbox is checked, return a data table, and of course create methods. So see what methods will be created next. So the employee data table and employee table adapter were configured successfully. That's all we wanted. Let me show you. So all the columns of my employee table are presented here, and this list is populated with all the columns. I would like to see if all the data is also here. Just right click it and preview data. There is a preview button. Alright, so all the columns with all data is here. So that means my table adapter is configured successfully, and my dataset emp.xsd is prepared now, and now I can save it. See what I told you, that we'll have to add a blank crystal report, and then we'll bound the crystal report with this dataset. Alright, go to Solution Explorer, right click, add, and you see there is a crystal reports menu item present here. I'll click it, and it is asking for the name. Alright, then crystal report emp will be the name. Okay, and now it's going to start a wizard, and it will ask me to select either a blank crystal report or using the report expert. It's opening the file. See, there are three options. You can use the report wizard or as a blank report. I'll choose this one. Okay, and now it will give me a designer, a crystal report designer. This designer has some sections, like you can see here, section 1, which is the report header, and then section 2 page for page header, section 3 for detail section. This detail section will occupy our records, and as the name implies, that report header will be displayed on the top of the report once in a report, and the page header contents will be printed on the top of every page. So see what else we have here. We have a database fields option, but none of the database fields are displayed here because this crystal report is not connected to any of data provider, and we would like to connect it to the dataset emp.xsd. Just create it. So we'll right click it, click database expert, and you'll see there is item project data, the data that is presented in present in our project. And we see that ADO.NET datasets. See what's there, right? We found it, we just created it, and the table name is employee. Click, select it, click OK, and now see that there is a plus sign. You can expand it and your table is here. Expand it more and you see that all of your columns are here. Just drag and drop some of the columns like employee code to the detail section. A text box for the heading is automatically created for you, and first name, just for example, to show you. And okay, take this date of birth and see gender or city, take country as well. Alright, and we can add some text box. Employee report. Alright, and increase the font size 18. Of course we can resize our text box. It's just a text box to show on the top of the report, so that's why we have placed it in our report header section. See students, at the bottom there are two options, main report and main report preview. Let's preview it, and this is how our report will look like in these columns. So don't worry about the formatting. We can format it and we can make it very beautiful and professional, but in this tutorial we are concerned with the connection and displaying. So leave the formatting and save it. So we have created our crystal report, and we also bounded the crystal report with the data sets. The crystal report is ready. So the next step is to add a web form to the project, and we'll get two controls on our web form. Alright, just right click on the project, add, and you see there is a web form. Alright, the default is okay. See an empty web form is presented here. There is nothing. You can see the design view of the web form, and you see there is nothing because we have not taken any control yet. So we will go to view and we'll view a toolbox. There are controls here, and I just told you that we should use a button. So I'll drag and drop a button here, and then go to the reporting section, and you see there is a crystal report viewer control, and I'll drag and drop it here on my form. So, and don't worry about this configuration, because we'll do it in our code behind in C#. So see our HTML source, that only these two lines are added here. This is our button, and I'd like to change the caption of the button. Sure, okay, it's fine. Control S to save. Come back to the design, and let's see what happens when I double click on this button. Nothing is happening. So I would like to go behind this, go to Solution Explorer, and you see that there is a default.aspx, and when you expand it you see that CS file is here, default.aspx.cs. double click it and you are behind, your code is here, and you see there is an event, a page load event, but because we don't want to do anything when the page loads, so that's why we don't want it. We'll just select and delete it. Alright, so we want a button click event here. For that purpose, I'll go to my source of HTML. This is my button, and I'll define what to do on click and create a new event, and a button one click event is created for me. Save it and come back to our CS file, and you see that a button one click event is here. So now students, I'd like you to pay attention here with full concentration, because we are going to connect our application to the SQL Server database. So we need to first add some libraries, and which library is for SQL is using system data SQL client, because we are using Crystal report, so we need some libraries for Crystal report as well, using Crystal decisions dot Crystal reports dot engine. And let's take another one, Crystal decision dot shared. Now inside our click event, I'll take a data type of SQL connection, and the variable name is cn, something clear, and I have created a variable here, and what I'm going to do with this variable, see next, I'll declare a string variable, and the name of this string variable should be my connection string, and let's store a null value for the time being. Alright, so this green underline is telling you that you have not used this variable yet. So of course we are going to use it in our next steps. Let's store a real value of connection string. So my connection string equals in our enclosed in quotation. So we will provide 4 parameters. Number 1 is data source, which is equal to the, it's a machine name, so it's a local host, so that's why I type just a dot and then semicolon. After that, initial catalog. Initial catalog is the database name. My database name is TSCS, and the third parameter is user ID, and you can change the sequence. User ID is SA, and the last one is password. My password is Bismillah1. Alright, so terminate it with a semicolon. In this line we have stored a connection string into a string type variable. So once a connection string is stored in a string type variable, what we are going to do is to use this cn here and create a new instance of SQL connection, and it requires that connection string. So my connection string, see, now that the connection string has been defined and all the relevant information, machine name, database name, user ID and password has been provided, so we will open our connection string. Now our application is connected to the database. Alright, another string variable, just name it SQL because you are going to store a select query here. First let's put a null value here and then store SQL is equal to select static from employee and say order by first name. I don't know if I have taken first name column here in the in my report. Alright, well, I'll check it, don't worry about that. Let's go back to our report and see first name is here. Alright, okay, fine. So this is a query, and our query is stored in a string variable SQL, and then a data type of SQL, data adapter, and the name should be my DA, means my data adapter, and new instance. So here see, we require two things. Number one is string of our command text, that is our select query and its SQL, and here we'll provide the connection string, name is cn. Alright, and terminate it, go to the next line. So SQL data adapter is now configured, and now the connection should be closed because we have done and close method. So student, that's why it is called working with the disconnected database. We open the database, we open the connection, and we provide all the relevant information and our command text, everything, and when our data adapter is configured, it knows that what queries to run and which connection objects to use, so we can close the database connection. Okay, now remember we created this dataset EMP. So this dataset EMP DS and new instance. After creating a new instance of our dataset, we are going to fill our data adapter. So my data adapter name is myDA, and I would like to fill with the data, and see that it is asking for a data set. So the data set is DS, and now it will ask for a table name. So the table name is employee, terminated. Right, so far we have done connecting with the database, defining the SQL query, and filling the data set with the data based on our query. So now data is here, data is available, and the next item is to define some of the characteristics of our crystal report. So see, students, there is object report document, and I'll write the name myRPT. It's a variable, and let's create a new instance of this object, and now here I have to tell this report document that where is my report and what is the path and name of the report. So myRPT should be loaded, and the location of the file is server.mappath, and see, use this till sign, and my report file name is crystal report emp.rpt. all right, and there is a typing mistake here. See the parenthesis. Okay, alright, so in this line I have told the system that the location of the file is on server and in my project, and the file name is crystal report emp.rpd. so wherever this file is present in my project folder, the server.map path will lead there. Okay, so the next line, once everything has been defined, the last option is to fill the data set. I'm sorry, to provide the data set to the crystal report. myRPT dot set data source, and the data source is here, and it's filled up with the required data. So just write ds, and the next step, what's the name of our crystal report viewer control is the name. Let's copy it the report source is this. My RPT is the report source because my RPT holds all the data from dataset. So my RPT, sorry. So this was the last step. And let's see. Modify the web.config file to enable debugging. Alright, fine. Just creating a local host on my local machine, and we are expecting a command button here with a caption show. It's taking a little bit time, don't worry about that. Right, so the code is has been executed, and you see that show button is here, and if I click this show button, it will gather the data and waiting for localhost. And you see our crystal report data is displayed on our browser. This was the text box. These all are the records, and see all of them are in ascending order, alphabetically ascending order, and this is a group T. I'll teach you this tree and grouping in the next tutorial, so let's hide it. And you see this is our crystal report. You can move to the next page and move previous, like that. And in the next tutorial we will format the presentation of the data. We will use some text boxes, borders, lines, columns, kind of things, and as well as what we are going to do in our next tutorial is that see the select statement query. We will use more complex queries in our next tutorial. We will use where clause, and we will use some joins, and we will retrieve data from multiple tables. So I hope you like this tutorial, and this is the simplest ever code for displaying crystal report by using dataset in C#, and this is one of the famous and disconnected type. And let me tell you that this method is called push model because it is pushing the data, and this is very quick and dynamic. And when you are working with the web forms and on the internet for web applications, this is the useful thing. So students, let's move to the next tutorial for that by the time, and